Otherwise, I'd have to bring you down to earth too. I know this verse hurts you. I tell you what, I give you advice. I'm feeling nice. Your vices could influence your writing if you weren't biting. Y'all trying to be people that.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your boy MagMongoSlade. Let's talk about the men's Money in the Bank side. From SmackDown, we have another entrance, and it is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens wins the pretty brutal last man standing match against Sami Zayn. This was not the main event of the show, and it should have been. There was like 2 matches after this. They put them on third, or is it second? They put them on second. What's the purpose? Why would you have a last man standing match and you don't put it as the main event? That bothers me. That concerns me. And then it went to commercial at the most inopportune time. There was one time when it was just like 9, and then he rolled over and stood up. I rolled out of the ring and stood up, and he was like, and then it went to commercial. I was like, what? And but it was a very well worked match. These guys worked well together. The finish was 3 power bombs rather. Powerbomb through the announce table, powerbomb through a regular table, powerbomb on the ring apron. Pretty violent finish. If in old school circles we wouldn't see Sami Zayn again for a while. I kept hearing that Kevin Owens is taking time off. I'm thinking it's probably going to be after Money in the Bank. Which I think they should have just put Sami Zayn in it. You know, me personally, they should have just put Sami Zayn in it. What do we need Kevin Owens in the Money in the Bank match for? To do what? There's nothing that he was going to do that Sami Zayn can't do. And Sami Zayn already had his time off, so let Kevin Owens take his time off. All right, so the next week, we're going to have the last 2 entrants. And this rubbed me the wrong way. Seth Rollins and Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin. What bothers me is that both of these matches are rematches, and they're not gimmicked. It's just regular fucking matches between 2 guys who have only had regular fucking matches so far. So Seth Rollins was pretty upset earlier in the night. He was, he believed he had the big match with Roman coming up. They told him, we would take it under advisement. We never said that he actually did it. And, well, Edge did win the Royal Rumble, even though that was 5 fucking months ago. And, he didn't get a one-on-one match. And then Seth rightly said that you nincompoops are the ones who put Daniel Bryan in the match. You're the ones who ruined it. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I deserve to be the number 1 contender. Okay. So this just means he's likely to lose next week, which doesn't really do Cesaro any favors, because how many times could you beat the same person, right? That does not do you any good. Beating the same person again and again and again and again and again, or even losing to them again and again and again and again. It doesn't do you any good. At some point, people are just going to stop fucking caring, right? Rollins and Cesaro have been attached at the hip. Now, they've done a good job before of just not banging out matches like they do on Raw. Raw will have them fighting every fucking week. But this has pretty much been too regular of these guys. And it's the same thing with Nakamura and Corbin. There has been at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks straight of Nakamura fighting nobody but Baron fucking Corbin. It's been going on for 5 or 6 weeks. It's been like the entire month of June. He has only wrestled Baron Corbin. Only. Exclusively. It's a monogamous relationship. That fucking sucks. It's boring. Okay? And I don't give a fuck. They need to switch partners. Have Nakamura fight Rollins and have Cesaro fight Corbin. And then you could have do something where, maybe Cesaro cost Rollins his match or something like that, and we can push that or just end that shit. I don't know. I don't care. But I'm tired of these 2 matches. I don't want to see them. And I like all 4 of the guys. I even like Baron Corbin. I especially like what they're doing with Baron Corbin right now, where he's very dejected. And I'm all big on symbolic storytelling. And when you look at characters, how characters look, it should tell you what the character is and who the character is, right? Like a king should never be in shabby clothes, wearing a potato sack with a dirty face, unless there's a context reason. Like if he's kidnapped and trapped in somebody else's dungeon, it would make sense that he would look like shit. But if he's just like the king of a kingdom, he should at least be the cleanest, dirty motherfucker in the building, right? He should at least look or speak or behave in some type of kingly way. That's just an example. Baron Corbin is a guy who they're telling this story now, and I think this story was so much better with, would have been so much better with Grimes, is that when he lost his crown, he has now lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now he's losing his lifestyle. His entire lifestyle is falling apart. So you see him come out there, he's not properly shaven. So you see like the gray in his beard, and his hair is not properly shaven. So you can see like the gray patches in his hair. He's dejected. He's distracted. You know, then we see in the middle of the match, even though it was a bullshit distraction roll up in a tag team match I did not care about, they could have done something else, right? It's the same thing. They're still fighting each other. Monogamous relationship, like I said. At this point, they're going steady. At this point, we see his G-Wagon is getting towed. And so we're getting the storyline that he's lost all this money, this wealth that he had, which of course ties into what he was talking about before. Like when you're the king, you get this $40,000 watch and all this kind of stuff. And now he's not the king anymore. He's losing that. And this is a good story because it's a man's struggle with his identity. It's a man's struggle not just with his identity, but with his job, is his income. You know? And he's looking at himself, and Boogs is making fun of him. You know, after the match, he's making these stupid king puns. I hate puns. Puns are the worst kind of fucking comedy. Why they insist on doing puns, I have no idea. It's the stupidest fucking shit in the world. Puns are fucking dumb. Right? It is low IQ. And I know it's a children's show, but it's even too low IQ for kids. All right? In any event, Boogs makes him fun of Corbin, makes Boogs look like a jerk because Corbin is legit, you know, down on his luck. Now, Corbin was a bully when he was on top. But the thing is, you know, Boogs is being a bit of an asshole. But it's looking like Corbin is actually going to change and be forced to undergo a change in his behavior and his demeanor. And I would talk about, oh, well, we know he's going to change because they trademarked the name Happy Corbin. And they're going to make him happy somehow. And something tells me that this is going to be something that's absolutely stupid. Now, weeks before Nikki Cross came out as a superhero, there was some really bizarre trademarks for E-Spear and the Ethereal Spirit or something like that. And then when Nikki Cross became a superhero, it became all, this the spirit that lives with all of us. The spirit and all of us. I am so excited. And eventually, that's probably going to be her superhero name. The Ethereal Spirit or E-Spear or something to that effect, where she's going to, that's what's probably what's going to be her superhero gimmick. Now, this is what Triple H means by people want to spoil the business for themselves. You have these websites that are now telling you every time somebody trademarks something. So now you're looking for how it's going to fit into the storyline instead of just watching the fucking show and seeing how it's going to turn out. Now we already been spoiled that something's going to happen where Corbin's going to get a new name, which means he's going to get a new gimmick. Now, Happy Corbin tells me there's probably going to be some type of clown gimmick, right? Or a court jester or something like that, which would be, and it's not the sharp turn that people think it is. There's not much difference between the clown and the court jester, or the court jester and the king, right? They have a great relationship between the two of them. The court jester makes fun of the king, but the king should laugh. That's how the good relation. That's how a good king is. You know, a good king laughs at himself. And the court jester, his job is to make fun of the king. Comedians are at their best when they're making fun of people who have and are in power, right? That's how, you know, if you thought all the stuff in the Attitude Era was funny, with Stone Cold Steve Austin pulling a gun on Vince McMahon, or Chris Jericho calling Stephanie McMahon a trash bag hoe, because you know they are in a position of power, it's funny. right? Versus when you had Lay Cool calling Mickey James Piggy James. That's bullying, because you'd see that Lay Cool is two of them. It's only one of Mickey. They're in a higher position than she is. Is bullying, right? And that's Marxist thinking, by the way. You know, because it's all about power dynamics. Who has more power than who, and all that shit. But that's kind of how the situation usually works between the king and the court jester. The court jester is an entertainer. He makes jokes, but he also works with the king to keep the king's ego in check. So it's not really that it's a good relationship between the two of them. But it's possible that that's what's going to be up for Corbin. When I saw the name Happy Corbin, I just said, that sounds like a clown gimmick to me, dog. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong, and I just gave you a lecture about court jesters and kings for no reason. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Okay. Now, as far as Kingsuke Nakamura, I love Nakamura. I wish the crown and the white and everything looks pretty good. You know, I just wish he would have won like the King of the Ring tournament and wouldn't have just beat Baron Corbin for his crown. And I wish he would fight somebody else. I think from this match, we're looking at maybe having Nakamura go off with Apollo Crews after Money in the Bank. I like that idea too. I think that works. The only person I'm really not feeling here is Big E. Now there was some talking points that came out recently about Big E feeling like he's lost in the shuffle again. Since WrestleMania, he hasn't really done anything. Well, it doesn't help that when they built up this big dude for you to feud with next, they ended up firing him. It also doesn't help that Apollo Crews became more popular than anybody thought he would, and he would get over the way that he did. I think that was a complete surprise to everybody. I don't think anybody really saw Apollo Crews being a Nigerian royalty actually working. But at the same time, the reason why both Big E and Apollo Crews have cooled off is the same reason with Nakamura and Corbin. The same thing with Bayley and Bianca Belair. You cannot get momentum by fighting the same people over and 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 over. It's not going to fucking work. People are going to get tired of it. There's only so many times you can back and forth win, lose, or lose so many times in a row. It's stupid. They're still fighting. They've been fighting since January. Yes. Apollo Crews storyline with Big E started when Big E won the Intercontinental Championship in December. That was late December. Here it is fucking July, and they're still fighting. And you worried why you lost in the shuffle. How about going to your goddamn bosses and saying, look, I should not be fighting Apollo Crews 18 fucking weeks in a row. If anything, either I win the fucking title back or he wins it and we don't touch each other for another 4 fucking months. Because of course you don't have any momentum. People are tired of seeing you do the same shit with the same people. It's the same reason Apollo Crews has lost momentum. It's the same reason. It's the same reason Cesaro is losing momentum. The same reason Seth Rollins has lost momentum. Why nobody cares about Nakamura and Corbin. Why nobody cares about any of this shit. It's the same people all the time. The same reason they was holding down Lashley with having him shackled to Drew McIntyre. It's the same fucking thing over and over and over and over and over. Common fucking sense. Eventually, all of these matches become a blur of gray. And you just become, oh, these two guys are going to wrestle again. It's like, come on. This is not the house show loop in 1979. I had to sit and watch all these fucking matches. Like, it's okay for you to have 400 matches on a house show loop. I'm only going to see probably 1 or 2 of them. But when you're on TV every week, all that shit starts to run together. WrestleMania should have been it. That should have been the last time they wrestled each other. And WrestleMania was 3 months ago, and they're still fighting. It's dumb. Now, as far as the men's Money in the Bank is concerned, who do I got as a winner? Now, without knowing all of the people who SmackDown are going to put in, I'm just going to guess it's going to be Nakamura and Cesaro. I'm guessing, still sticking with Riddle. I looking at this field, regardless of who wins next week on SmackDown, the only chance we have of somebody other than Riddle is maybe if Cesaro wins. If Cesaro gets in, he's going to be my 1B. If I have to have a SmackDown pick and a Raw pick, my Raw pick would be Riddle. My SmackDown pick would be Cesaro. And I'm pretty sure Cesaro is going to get into that match. If Cesaro doesn't get in and Seth Rollins gets in, then Riddle's for sure going to win. That's my thing going into Money in the Bank. I don't think it matters too much between Nakamura and Corbin because I don't see either one of them two winning. I just don't see either one of them winning the title, you know? And it would seem like the person who is going to win the Money in the Bank is more likely to be the next champion, or at least a champion at some point in the future. And I see WWE saying to themselves, we got something with Riddle if we're going to ride that bitch because he's the next guy. Or he's a guy who's doing very well right now. He's got people buzzing. He's got people buying that stupid fucking gear. So I can see them going with that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort, so question as if